okay. And then let me get to the right note. And then start sharing screen. Oh, I have one more need to admit. Okay, so today we will start with note 7. Okay, note 7. And note 7 majorly is regarding class. And I believe in other programming language, you have already learned class. And in Python, you can also define class, okay? But in this class, we are not going to use that a lot. But anyway, here's some idea, okay? Maybe you will use it in your assignments and projects, okay? So in Python, how do you define a class, okay? And so define class, you have class and then the name of the class. Okay, so pretty similar as other language, but always remember Python doesn't have brackets. Is it use a colon and then use indentation? Is it for the blocking as other language? And this is something like Java. Is Java the root class of all class is object? Is it here similar? So even though we don't it's inherit from object class, so similar for Python concept. And then generally speaking hold on, I have one student join in. I needed to close this admit and then reopen. Oh, I have two more admit. Hold on, okay, because each time when student joining, it's kind of interrupt my pen. And if you recall in other programming language, generally speaking, for, hold on, okay, admit. Generally speaking, we, in a class, there are two parts, is it instance, and in Python, they call them like attribute, okay, instant attribute. And instance methods or functions, is it? And we sometimes also call data members. Some other student come in, hold on, okay, let me get in. Okay, then I need to reinitiate the pen. And member functions. Okay, and the instance variable. So all sorts of, but we all know that, yeah, those, so one is regarding attributes, the other part is regarding functions, methods. Hold on, I keep having students joining. I need to admit. Okay, so, and if you record in other class, you also have another kind of variables or data member. It's called class. Oh, I'm keeping having students joining. Okay, hold on, let me, two more join. Okay. Okay, the other, so associated with attribute is called class attribute. Or, oh, keep getting interrupted. Admit. Okay, class attribute, or we call class variables in some other, like in Java, is it? But anyway, it's a similar concept, okay. We keep having. Okay, and then in this example, the class name is called employee, is it? And then over here, you have a variable inside the class. It's called imcount. And this is called a class attribute. Okay, later on we will see the instance attribute. So that's regarding class attribute. And over here, this is a function, this is Python function. And within this Python function, the name, generally speaking, we have 2 leading and 2 trailing underscore, etc. And this is concept is kind of like the constructor in a class, and it's used to initialize all of their instance variable values, etc. So in this case, hold on, we have one more student coming in. And someone please mute your audio. Someone please mute your audio. And over here, and in the parameter list, the very first one is regarding the object itself. So in some other language, it's kind of like that keyword this, okay? So this refer object itself. So kind of like that keyword this in some other language, okay? And following the parameter, etc. And it's not necessary to be named as self, but generally speaking, a lot of people like to name it as self. We have one more comment, okay. And I need to put my pen back. Okay, and then within the this function, this instance function, or in this special case, the constructor, is it? If you take a look here, you have the self dot, is it? So the object self, and then dot, and then dot, then dot, is it? And then in this case, all these 3, they are instance attributes of this employee class, okay? And the other one, if you take a look, and we just say it's a class attribute, is it? So class attribute, then when you access, you use the class name. And here we are going to do count, is it? So you increment by 1, okay? So it's not owned by any specific instance. So it's a class attribute. So it's basically shared among all of the instance, is it? So that's regarding the first method. And the second method, let's just display, is it? Just try to display the number of employees. We have one more coming. I need to readmit and then restart my pen. Okay, and so here it's to get access that class attribute, okay? And this print is, so here we use string formatting, so you already know, so this regarding this variable, okay? Formatted variable. Okay, so anyway, so this is another instance method, is it, in this employee class. And we have another one called display employee. So this is also an instance method. Okay, so basically it's kind of, you know, the whole structure regarding Python class is pretty similar as other programming language. Okay, it's made up of 2 parts, attribute parts and the method parts. Okay, we know how to define a class, and then how do we use a class, is it? So similar as other language, you always need to create an object. So to create an object, you just use the class name. So this to invoke that init. So the constructor, okay, we never explicitly call, is it? So it's going to initiate name and the salary and the age, okay, and age. Oh, and then another thing, we need to be careful regarding the attribute name, is it? So for this 2, and if you take a close look, the difference between name and the salary versus age is for age, you have 2 leading underscore, is it double leading underscore? So in Python, then this indicates it's private. Okay, private. And for the other name and salary, you don't have leading underscore. So those means they are public. Okay, public. And it's private, that means only available, only accessible within the class. Okay, and the public, it can be accessed anywhere. So that's the difference. And the second employee is that we also initiate with the constructor. Then you can specifically call their instance method, is it? So both display employee is this method, and the instance method you can directly call it. Okay, and then over here you see this is outside of the class, is it? And you can directly access the public class attribute, is it? So this is public class attribute. So to access it, you use the class name. Class name to access, okay. Okay, and for this, this is just a function to check if an object, so an object has certain attribute. Then you give the attribute name, okay. And then next, and if you want to know more of the information, okay, you can use the magic names. So Python magic name, it always has double leading underscore and the double trailing underscore, okay, and specific like DOC name, module, basis, dictionary, a set of those. And over here, if you recall the name and the salary, they are what? They are the instance variable, is it? And because they don't start with double leading underscore, so they are public, so you can directly access even outside of the class, is it? But if you try to, and over here, the difference between this name access and the employee count access, you see here is you use the class name. Class name to access, is it? And here you use what? Use instance, or we call object to access. Okay, so make sure about the difference. And if you also try to access the age, it will run into error. That's because it is hidden, it is private, okay? And but Python is not strictly, you know, private, protected. And if you use name mangling means for this instance, then you add the class name starting with a single leading underscore, and then following that hidden attribute, you can still access it. Okay, so it's not that strictly protected, they're private. Okay, so that's this example. And then next, let's show the inheritance. Okay, so Python also allows inheritance, so you can also define subclass or child class. Is it? And as we said, object is the root class. So root class for all of class, is it? And here we define a second employee called commission employee. Is it commission employee? and it's inherited from employee. So it's a child class of employee. Is it? So basically it's an inherited, it's attributes and methods, is it? And here it has its own constructor. What it does, it first call its parent class's constructor, is it? And then what it does, because over here it has its own instance attribute called commission rate, is it? So you can also assign commission rate to it. And over here, this is sales age, okay, for commission employee, okay, you kind of override the superclasses. And what the next is try its instance method is it's pretty straightforward. You can directly access, even though it's a hidden, is it? Hidden attribute, but accessible, is it? Accessible within class, okay. And then for the next one, the display employee, is it this way? You try to override superclass display employee, is it? You can first call superclasses display employee, and then you can add your own contents here. And I don't know, I don't remember if I ever explained this F, okay. So this F and then following by some string, this is the formatted way, okay. And with this way, it's, you don't need to do, so for the formatting of variable, you just use the curly brackets, okay. Otherwise, so this is called string format interpolation. Otherwise, the old way you can do it is you call the format method as a format function. And following it, you specify the arguments, is it? And over here, you specify, so this is position, the formatting variable position, is it? So that it will match. So anyway, here you only have one, so that's the only one. And if you have multiple, you can have 0 and then 1 something, is it? And then over here, you can specify variable 1 and variable 2, is it? Something like that. But you see, with the new string interpolation, it's much simpler. You don't need to use that position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just directly get whatever arguments you want to format into the brackets, okay? But you do need to have this F started with it, okay? Okay, so that's that concept. And we can directly access, so here already shows. And here, the next example try to show is Python subclass collections. Okay, you can also kind of define the child class for some collection. So what over here try to do is some user defined dictionary. Okay, so user dictionary is a Python class, is it? And here I try to have a child class based on it, and I define it name as called event. Okay, event. And then what you can do is you can override some of the methods, is it, and add your own method, is it, with this new class, child class. Anyway, so that get item is one of the method from the user dictionary collection, is it? And here I want to override it. And what it get, it give you the value part of the dictionary, is it? So here is the key, and you can call the super, is it, to get item. So you get whatever the value, is it, the matching value for the key. And what I'm going to return, okay, so what I'm going to return, the formatting is something like this. I have a string, so you're going to return a string here. Is it the string formatted as what? As a square brackets. Within square brackets, I will have the specific word user defined and the following some arguments. Is it? And the first argument is what? Oh, I'm sorry. I needed to get rid of that. Otherwise, too annoying. Okay, the first argument refer to what? Refer to the class name. Okay, and the second one is whatever the value. So basically over here, the idea is you are going to reformat the value. Is it? Reformat the value. The value will always has user defined and some of your class name following by the value. That's what this value, you're going to reformat it as like this for this child class's value functionality, okay? And then let's take a look the how we use it, is it? And then here you define, is it? This is that event, is it? For that event, okay. So that event is user dictionary, is it? So you have key and the value, key and the value, key and the value, is it? Okay, for the key value and over here, we try to get corresponding to the event, what is the value is it? In our previous idea, the value is just a login, is it? But here you can see the value corresponding to what? User defined, then class name, and whatever the value is it? And for the next one, this loop, is it? It will get all the items, is it? Dictionaries, so this is item 1, item 2, item 3, is it? For each one of it, it's get its key and the value, is it? And the value part will call basically this get item method, is it? So what you will get? You will have this extra information, is it? So that's how you see flexible it is. If we understand the class, then you can write your own user defined subclass as a child class, okay? And then next, let's see. Here we define the function, is it? So the function has two arguments, two parameters, and the third one is a keyword argument, is it? And what it does is just do some output, is it? Then I call it with what? With this event. Is it with that event? And how it's going to work then in this case, is it? So this is that event, it's a user-defined dictionaries subclass, is it? That called event. And what it's going to happen, you see the event type. So it will do the matching, is it, with the keyword, and date will match with the date. And then whatever left, is it, is the user part, is going to go to the last arguments, is it? And you can clearly see the output, it matches, is it? And here again, I use the string letter interpolation, as is a new formatting, okay? Okay, that's regarding the user defined collection, okay, subclass. And what next one is also quite useful is tuple, is it? And here it's named tuple. Okay, you can see it's also quite useful. So named tuple over here, you define the name tuple. The name for the tuple is what? It's called a user record. Okay, user record. And so basically this is kind of like a table. Then you have the column name. So those serves like the column names. Okay, for the tuple field. Okay, so you have 4. Is it user ID, username, first name, and the last name? Is it? And then with this user-defined named tuple, then you can use it to have the values of the tuple then associated with this user record. Is it? So you call user record, then this 92 will be the ID. So each will be associated with it. Okay, then Jonathan Smith. That's it. So each will be associated. And how do you access the tuples individual items? Still the same way, is that you can still use the index. So indexing, the slicing still works, okay? And you can also specifically access with those column names. Okay, we call it identifier, is it? So UR1 username. Username is what? And then we got username is Jane Smith. And then you can also do that. And you can also, of course, do unpacking. Okay, so here then it's convenient, is it? You can access the tuples item then with identifier. Okay, not necessary just with the index number or the do the so that's regarding user defined, so tuple. Okay, what next try to show is using concatenation, we can also create new dictionary. Okay, create new dictionary. So the syntax is shows like over here. Okay, so let's see here. We have one dictionary called context, the second dictionary called event. Is it? Then you can concatenate both of these two dictionary together and get a new dictionary. So this enriched event is a new dictionary, and it basically combine both dictionary together. Okay. So that's, and regarding the shallow copy, deep copy, the next cell explains the concept. It's pretty straightforward, okay, as of our previously studied concept. So this is regarding note 7, okay, and then next let's move on to note 8. Okay, note 8 is regarding Python. Can you all see my note 8 right now? It's regex. So regular expression. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is regarding regular expression. Regular expression in Python is very, very useful. Okay, but I will leave more for as more detailed for your own. Okay, but we have some basic idea here. Okay, and I also give you some reference material. So one of the nice website you can refer is from a Google developer, okay? And let's take a quick look, okay? So regular expression, a lot of time you will see the regex, okay? What does that mean, okay? So in Python, if you want to use it, you need to import regex, okay, regex. So regex is to find the pattern in some string, if they find a certain pattern. So here we have the string. This is a string. And within the string, I want to find some pattern, okay? So you can call re.search, okay? The search method, the second parameter is the string. And the first parameter is a pattern. You're going to specify the pattern, okay, the pattern, and looking for if the pattern exists in the string, okay? So let's see how we define the pattern. So R, if you recall following some quotation mark, what does that mean? It means raw string, is it? If you recall. Okay, and in this case, the search pattern is what? Is going to, you need to find the word and the colon and following it. So this means some single word letter. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, so this over here, you have 3, is it? So we are going to have, you're trying to find if in this string, you have word following by 3 letters. Okay, then in this case, we do have, is it? So it says, okay, if match, then it says you find. So how do you find the pattern here? Then you do the dot group. Then it will return you whatever the pattern is. Okay, so in this case, it did give you that word and following by the cat. Okay, so that's regarding this one. And then next one, let's take a look. Over here, so over here, I have a multiple line string. Okay, multiple line string, you can use triple quotation mark, is it? And this time, what we try to do the search, okay, to do the match is something looks like this. So, so in regex, you will see a lot of within the pattern. If you have a single dot, the period, that means single character, but not new line. Okay. And there are also some repetition. You may see this plus, asterisk, question mark. Is it? Those means some repetition pattern. Okay, so if it's asterisk, that means 0 or more occurrences of the pattern to the left. Okay, or question mark, that means 0 or 1 occurrence of the pattern to the left. Okay, so that's just repetition. And if you have parentheses, that means you want to do some group extraction. Okay, so then let's see. So what here it says, the pattern is what? Is some single character and following by asterisk. So it's a repeat, is it? So repeat 0 or more occurrence. So any single, so you have some single letter repeat. Is it more occurrence of this single letter? Is it to the left? Then it matches this. And then you will group it. You will group it. Okay. And following that, you are going to have space and R and space. And then if you take a look, this definitely matches the first one, is it? And then it's space and R and space, is it? Following that, what it is? Following that is, this is a little bit more complicated, is it? So you have what? You have single letter and what? And repeat, is it? And repeat. And then that this going to, you have a question mark. Is it going to repeat to the left, 0 or just 0 or 1 occurrence? Is it? And the following, if you have the slash, that means space. Space, is it? So what will be it? So like this fast, will it meet this pattern? Yes. Is it faster and space? Is it? So this means, and this is a group. Is it? This is a group. And with this group, you have the asterisk again. Is it? So that means this group kind of pattern is going to repeat. Is it? Yes, we do have then and the space and the puppy and space, and the bool and the space. Is it? So you have all of the pattern. That's going to be identified in a group. Is it? In a group. And here it supports multiple line. Is it? And the ignore case. That's what this mode be. Okay. And then you want to know the detail, which is the group. Is it? Extraction. So then you can use the group number. So this matches the first group. This is second group. Is it? And if you take a look at the running result, yes, it did give you the running result. Is it? If you just do group, it gives the complete matching. But if you want to extract a specific group, then you can use group 1, group 2, okay? And if you do group 3, in this case, it won't work because we only have 2 group, okay? So that's regarding group. And the next one, so in previous we see match, we also see search. So what's the difference between this? Okay, the difference between these two is match starting with the pattern in your string. Okay, so in this case, you want to find the dogs, etc. But it needs to start with dog. But this doesn't, because it starts with what? With lions. Okay, so you will see the result is not match. It's not match. But you see, if you call search, you want to find dog. Yeah, it gives you the dog. It can find it. Okay, so be careful about match and the search. And what next is we try to use a lot is you can do search and replace. Is it? You do some cleaning work. Okay, later on you may use it in your projects. Is it? Because when you do the data analysis, a lot of times the data is very messy, is it? And maybe you need to do some cleaning work. Then you can use a regex idea here. We can do search and replace. So let's see, okay. Search replace here, it's the sub method. Is it? The pattern, the replacement, and the original string. Is it? So let's take a look. So this is the string. Is it? And what over here says the pattern is what? Pattern is pound sign followed by what? Some single letters, is it? And it occurs, the left pattern is going to occur, so one or more single letters, is it? So starting with a pound sign, is it? You're going to replace them what? With nothing, is it? So basically remove that, is it? If you, and for what? From this string, is it? Then if you run this, you will see all of this going to be removed. Okay, going to be removed. And then later on, you may say, okay, I also want to get rid of non-digit sign. Then you can do this /D. Okay, and this is non-digit. And if you do this small case D, this is 4-digit. It needs to match the digit. Okay, so be careful here. And so then here it's a non-digit also going to be removed. Okay, so that's what this sub does. Okay, sub does. And let me get to, and can you see right now this website, Python regular expression, this website?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. So this website, there are more information regarding it, the pattern, all kinds of pattern, okay. And so after class, you can read more. Is it? It also has some email example. Is it quite interesting, okay, because and you see, we also use that a lot, email or login, is it information, is it how to verify? So it's quite useful, okay? So you can use this as a reference. And then last note in this unit is about reading and writing files, okay? Reading and writing files, and this semester we're going to do a lot with CSV file, okay? It's comma separated value files, okay? And for file, it's you have flat file versus text file, okay? Flat file is, so it's not organized, structured, okay? And in Python, you have Python file object, okay, like over here it shows. See, and it also mentions IO module is a default module for accessing files, okay? And you can use open to open, just like a lot of other programming language, okay? So here we have an example. Is it, so you have some file, I have the file, okay? So this is called first file, .csv, is it? And it's stored somewhere, okay? So here in my local drive. And you can call open, okay, to open the file for accessing. And open method return a file object. Be careful, okay? And generally speaking, you specify the file name plus the access mode. It's just like other programming language, is it? And then over here, you said, okay, I'm going to open it for reading. Is it for reading, not for writing, okay? And so then this going to get the file object. Is it? So this has a file object. Is it? And with the file object, then you can do a lot of things. Is it? You can do read. Okay, if you do the read, specify the number, that means it's going to read the first 3 letters. Okay, be careful, read the first 3 letters. And if you don't specify, then it will return the whole file. Is it? Read all lines as what? As one single string. All of the file contents is going to be treated as a single string, okay? And you can also do specify like how many letters you want to read, is it? And you can also call the read line. This just read a single line. Read a single line. Here we show you can get whatever, is it? And be careful, okay? Here, the file has something like this: name, comma, then address, is it? And then email. That's what the file has. Because over here it says read 3, so it's going to read the first 3 letters. And the following, if you call the read line, it will not take a NAM anymore. It will start from E, okay? So it will has all of this, E and address and email, okay? So read whatever left, okay? And you can also do, like for read line, you can also specify, is it? Here means the first 2 letters, is it? And you can also do for in loop, okay? And for in loop over here is what? Is that object, file object. File object. And then you do line by line, is it? Loop, is it? And this is to take away the trailing space, okay? And also, you open the file, make sure you also close the file when you don't need to use it anymore, okay? And then here we open the file again. And then you can also call read lines. But be careful, okay? Read lines versus read. Read returns as a string. Read lines return list. Each individual line is an item in the list. Okay, so that's the difference between, if you take a look at the result, as it is different. This returns as a list if you call read lines. Okay, you can also write to a file. Okay, and then in this case, you specify the mode as W. Okay, then it's writing to file. Then you can call the write to write to a file. And also make sure to close the file. That's write to file. And you can also do write lines. right lines as over here shows, is it? And right lines where you get this is a list of string, is it? Then you can write them to the file, okay? And here you can also specify as appending order. So append to the file, is it? And then we can close, okay? And then next, let's see. And here we are going to add more lines to the file, is it? We open and then we write. And when you finish write, is it? It's at, so you have the file, is it? So suppose this is the last line. So when you finish the writing, is it? And if you want to know where the file cursor is, you can call the .tel, is it? The .tel function. Then it will tell you the byte at which the file cursor is. And each byte, basically in this case, plain text is each character, is it? So after you call the write or read, it will not, your cursor will move to the most current one, is it? Most current one. It will not at the beginning, is it? And if you want to do read, in this case, you cannot read anything, is it? Because it's already reached the end of the file. And if you do want to start reading the file, you can reset your file cursor using seek, okay, to set at the beginning. So 0, so where it is going to start at the beginning, is it? And over here, you can also specify, okay, relative to the first, where it is going to be, is it? So this is going to be the 5th character in this case, okay? Okay, so that's regarding the file cursor. This one, because for the open, if you require to return a file object, is it? And if you use a loop, like a definite loop, then if you want to get each line, you can also call next, okay? Just kind of like the concept of iterator, okay? So that's regarding the file. What next one? I think this is also quite useful. Is it JSON file? It's plain text. Is it right now with all sorts of API, okay? The back end and how to get to the front end. Is it? It uses JSON, okay? Used a lot. So it's JavaScript object notation, okay? And JSON object identified by curly brackets, and it's key value pair. Key value pair, okay? And the key must be string. Must be string, okay? Must be string. And the value part can be string, number, some other JSON object, array, Boolean, null, okay? And so the value parts you can also use some other JSON object. You can also use square brackets in JSON. It's array. It's array. Okay, so value can be those listed items. So let's take a quick look of the next one. Okay, so here we have a JSON file called color.json. Okay, color.json. And what it looks like, and how do you read the JSON file? Okay, so be careful. Also, you need to import JSON. Okay, import this module. Okay, and following that, then you can it's just like you open the file. Is it open file? And then you can call load. Okay, the JSON load. What it does is it's convert JSON string to Python data. Okay, be careful. It's convert to Python data. Then you can use Python data or collection to process it. Is it? So what it looks like here, you see it basically is a list, is it? And within the list, you have what? you have a dictionary. Is it? You have dictionary. And for this one, it's embed with another another dictionary kind of. And but originally in JSON, this is a JSON object. Okay, JSON object. And originally in JSON, this square brackets means it's an array, JSON array. So this JSON array, each item, is it, is some JSON object. Okay, JSON object. Okay, and what I did over here is try to show, is it, how do we extract, is it? So you get load, so this is Python data, is it? Because it's some Python data collection, so you can loop, is it? A loop, if you recall, it's all with the key value pair, so it's a dictionary, is it? So that's why you can use dictionary to retrieve each of the value, is it? And each of the value, is it? So, okay, so this is regarding JSON. Let's just take a quick look of how the JSON file looks like. Okay, let me get share screen. Yeah. Oh, let me get to here. Okay, so that's it. This is the JSON, the color JSON file. Okay, if you see, it's with square brace, so that's a JSON array, and within it, you have JSON objects. Is it? For each one, it has key value, is it? And this code, it has another JSON object as the value part. And for this one, the value part is a JSON array, okay? Okay, so you can also deal with JSON. So basically that's